So we want to taste a few whiskeys from Valleyfield. Again, as I said, it's hard to find whiskeys from Valleyfield because they really do support Crown Royal and the Crown Royal operations. But you can find some, and here's one. Not easy to find, mind you, but here's a Shenley OFC, 6-year-old that was distilled in 1980. And in fact, on the bottle, it says Shenley Canada Inc., Valleyfield, Canada, bottled in Canada. So there you go. It's 80 proof, so 40%, and it was actually a gift from a friend. So this is, there's still Shenley OFC whiskeys today. Some of the older ones, I've been able to taste them. A bit cleaner and more vibrant than the ones today, but similar in terms of profile. So this one, very light, quite light, and you get really a classic Canadian blended profile, slightly sweet, just a tiny touch of corn, and then a bit of kind of dry rye spice that's subtly there in the background. Fairly thin on the palate. You get, it's quite sweet, not like really sugary sweet, but just the body's light enough and there's enough kind of vanilla sugar sort of component to it, and then you get a slight bit of tannin and then some spice at the end. Something struck me when I tasted it, which I can't remember. Yeah, it has, how do I describe it? Almost this very very light touch of leather, but it's kind of combined with this sort of candy toffee character. It's really interesting. I don't know why they're juxtaposed in my mind when I taste it, but it's very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, nice whiskey. It's fairly ordinary, if I'm honest. It's fun because it's from the 80s, but nothing that'll blow your socks off. But it is pleasant. It is a piece of history, and really a classic Canadian whiskey. Yeah, not just because it's from the 80s, but also because of the style. Sweet, kind of light toffee, light spice, a nice kick of almonds at the end. So, pretty interesting. If we move on to a whiskey that has since been moved to Hiram Walker Distillery in Windsor, but for a while was being made out of Valleyfield, and that's Gibson's 18. The bottle I have is an older bottle. It's a bottle from probably 2012 or 2013. So the bottle's been updated, but the brand has sort of stayed true to what it was in terms of flavor profile. And this, when I was starting out in Canadian whiskey, was a real cornerstone whiskey for me in terms of one of the real gems, I would say. And we don't talk about Gibson's 18 enough. But it's a lighter old whiskey. And so on the nose, light berries, freshly sawn wood, just a touch of dill pickle, and then some stone fruit, so fresh apricot, fresh peach, and almond. So I have spent time on this nose before, and I can tell you if you take time with it, you'll taste quite a bit. It's been some time since I've had a Gibson's 18 though. It's nice. It's very different from the Shenley OFC. It's a thick palate. You have lots and lots of spices coming through. You get a really nice old corn whiskey character. And so it's almost like just a tiny bit of corn husk, fairly thick. You get wood, sweet wood, so like vanilla, but actually, the taste of oak as well. And then it is amazing how just around the corners there's just a touch of spice, which is really pretty Canadian. Very pleasant, quite mouth-filling. It's quite rich. This one was sort of, the first one was sort of slightly sweet, but in a way that was a bit fleeting. Like it was sweet and then it was just kind of watery, it was gone. This is like thick. It's more like syrup. It's, again, not too sweet. It doesn't taste like syrup. But in terms of how the sweetness is felt, it's a light sweetness that lingers quite nicely. Yeah, it's very nice. The oak really fits in well with a light whiskey. It's hard to sometimes get a nice amount of oak into a whiskey that's quite light and really doesn't need a lot for it not to be overpowered. So very nice. As with a lot of these old whiskeys, if I were to just keep nosing this, I get lots and lots out of this, but there's no point in you watching me nose, so I will do that on my own time. But thanks for joining in. If you haven't had Gibson's 18, try to find it, give it a go. It's not as Valleyfield as it used to be, but it's still a Canadian whiskey that's worth trying and worth taking some time with. And if you're struggling, go online, find some tasting notes, read them and hear about some of what's been said about Gibson's 18 in the past and I guess currently as well. It's a whiskey worth spending some time with. So that's my recommendation. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.